for having us. Thanks so much for coming all the way over to hear what's going on in the UK. I'm married to Hannah. We've got 4 kids, Lily, John, Peter and Sarah. I'll show you a picture of them too. Forgive me, this was a presentation I did for my church. They knew I was planning to plant somewhere and I realised all the slides are in the wrong order. Never mind, we'll work through it. But let me tell you first of all about Lincoln. So we've moved down to Lincoln. We went there in at the 1st of April, which lots of people make jokes about, and we started on Easter Sunday. So this is Lincoln's a city of 2 halves. There is an upper half and a lower half. There's a steep hill in the middle that is called Steep Hill, and that's a picture of Steep Hill there. At the top is the cathedral, and it's really lovely actually because Lincolnshire is flat, like dead flat. Apart from Steep Hill, you can see the cathedral from miles and miles and miles around. So you think back to a time when the cathedral would have been filled with the worship of God, and you've been able to see it, and think that's where we're going on Sunday. Sadly, the cathedral is doing anything but worship the Lord at the moment. Do you have does anyone have a clicker on? Oh, is it this mouse? Oh, great. Oh, there we go. Aha. So yeah, there's Lincoln. Lincoln is a much smaller city, so it's about 110,000. If you count, you can see North Hykeham. There's North Hykeham and South Hykeham. If you count North Hykeham, which is pretty much attached, it maybe goes up to about 150, but it's not very big. It is growing very quickly. So over 10% in over 10 years, about 11%, about 3,000 every year are coming, 110,000 in total. There are 2 universities and a college. So in terms of its percentage of young people, it's got a really high and kind of disproportional number of young people there. Because there's 2 universities and 1 college. They're not very good universities, I should say. I'm sorry the graphics are not very good as well. But anyways, that's it. And it's increasingly diverse. And yes, I've mentioned Steep Hill already. If you want a bit more of the history, Lincoln's quite interesting. It used to be a Roman settlement. And it's famous. I like 2 things about it. Well, 3. So the Magna Carta, there's a copy of the Magna Carta in the castle. So that's pretty cool. In World War I, it was in Lincoln that the tank was invented. So that's quite cool too. And then World War II, it was known as Bomber County. So it's where most of the bomber groups were based, and they would fly out from there. So we that's a story for another time. I can tell you a story about that. So not only we came because there's a number of people. It's growing. Also, the county is in desperate need of churches. So the city is actually. I'll talk about the city in a moment. We found it's more well served than we realised, and we're very grateful to God for that. But the county of Lincolnshire, there's 760,000. It's on the east of England. It's above sort of Norfolk, and there are very, very few gospel churches in the county. It's not like there's none. There's a few. So there's one, say, in Billinghay. I think there's one in Boston, but it's really pretty sparse and bleak. And so our long-term hope, I'll tell you about it, is to plant out further into the county. So yeah, in Lincoln itself, we were wondering where to go. There was a group of people who wanted us to come. I'll tell you about them in a moment. On paper, it's well served. The blue churches are FIEC, or sort of like FIEC churches. They were the guys who said come. So I got in touch saying, do you really think we're needed? And they were saying, there is so much work to do. Please, would you consider coming? So that was really lovely of them. That it was a good shout out for the FRC guys. They particularly one guy in particular. The green churches are charismatic churches. They've been slightly more discouraging. The red one is there's an Anglican church with a really, really lovely minister called a guy called Robbie. It's a turnaround church. It's a very middle of the road Anglican. They'd be mostly liberal, but he's a good gospel guy, and he's been a great friend. But if you wanted a confessional Reformed church, we would be the only one, not only in the city, but as far as I know, in the entire county. So that was one of the reasons we went. This is the team. So my family's up on the right. So me and the kids. The guys on the bottom left, they are the guys who particularly wanted us to come. They were really keen to join us. John, who's the one on the far left, he's an RAF fighter pilot, so that's quite cool. He's going to probably step down from that though, just because it's a massive burden on his wife, basically. But he's got 4 kids. They're great. And then these guys here, a number of them have, not all of them, but a number of them have joined us. This lady here, the Indian lady, is Betsy. She works in the renal unit at the hospital. She is systematically trying to convert everyone in that unit, staff, and we love Betsy. She's an amazing lady. Where do we meet? I should really go back and show you. So you remember there's 2 halves to Lincoln. There's up the hill, which is in the north half of the city. There's down the hill in the south half of the city. The universities are generally in the south. We're in the south, but we're a bit further south. So you remember there's North Highcombe at the bottom. We're sort of in the middle between Lincoln and North Highcombe. It was the place we could find to meet. It's a place called the Boundary Street Hub. It's a bit like a day centre. I don't know if you have them in the States, where people will go. Normally, the ones I've known have been for old people, but this one's particularly for disabled people. So people go during the day, there's activities for them to do, and then they come home. So it's already a kind of centre of community. So it's been a great place to go and get to know people there. So we get to use it on the weekend. They've really kindly let us use it for free. So that's really generous of them. It's got amazing facilities because it's set up for disabled people. Anyone can walk in. So we've been hugely blessed to be there. We're a little way from the university, though. We'd have liked to be closer, but the Lord, as you'll see, has planted us there in His providence. So the story so far, we started worshipping on Easter Sunday, which we thought was an appropriate day. So we've been going just over 6 months. We're not doing anything particularly special. We gather for worship morning and evening. We meet to pray every Tuesday. There was one prayer meeting, which was particularly encouraging. There were 4 adults, and there was about 10 kids, and the kids prayed as much as the adults. It was really great. We started our first service. We had quite a few. Our numbers at the beginning were about somewhere between 30 to 35. Since we've started, about 20 people have joined us, including the kids. So a couple of families. Let me point to someone. So this girl on the left here, up at the top, she's called Isabel. Her family live on the street where we meet. Her dad was basically wondering what he was going to do with his faith. He was thinking about going to an Eastern Orthodox church. We planted. A friend encouraged him to come along to us, and he would say basically God has planted us there for him and his family. So that's been it's been really wonderful. Isabel on Sunday invited one of her friends along, who absolutely loved it. The most encouraging person is on the bottom left. Down here at the bottom, there's a lady called Zoe. She's also from the street. We're like, why have you put us here, Lord? She lives just around the corner. She saw a sign as she went past. She turned up on the first day and said, I've looked at Islam and I didn't like it. I've come to you guys because you guys are really liberal, and I want you to know that I basically can't forgive my parents for what they've done to me. So that was like an opening gambit. It was one of those, it always takes a miracle, right? But sometimes the Lord just reminds you how much it's His work. I was like, I just started praying there and there and said, why don't you go away and read the gospel? She came back the next Sunday, deeply convicted that she needed to forgive her parents because she'd read the Lord's Prayer, basically, you must forgive, otherwise you won't be forgiven. And basically saying, I'm going to do it. I must forgive my parents, and I'm going to sort that out this week. And I want to be a Christian. And she was already baptized. There was a lovely conversation she had with the ladies. We do a little ladies' Bible study, and she said, I know this sounds really weird, and nobody speaks like this, but I feel like I've been born again. And my wife was like, no, that doesn't sound weird at all, actually. Really remarkable, really remarkable. If you're wondering, this picture at the bottom, that's a Reformation Day party. If you wonder what that yellow blob is, that's a tulip. Anyway, that was very funny. Another girl, you probably can't see, she was dressed up as a pirate. There's a girl there called Lila, and she's coming. We do a little youth group All of these things, like I say, are tiny. Like our youth group is like seven kids, and the ladies' Bible study is like 4 ladies. Anyway, so they're all really small. But Lila's coming along. She's not a Christian. She's absolutely loving it, and basically says it's the highlight of her week. We're praying that she'll come to church on Sunday. There's a guy called Freddie who he was converted, praise God, when he came to us. But similarly, actually, he was thinking about Eastern Orthodoxy and has been so relieved, basically, to find us. Anyway, so the Lord has been. John, the RAF pilot, has basically said he's never seen more prayers answered than in the last 6 months, and we're very grateful for that. I don't know. There's all sorts of things we'd like to do. Just opposite where we live a bit close to the centre. Around the corner, there's a mosque. The whole place is packed out on Friday. It's really hard to get down the street. We would love to do something to reach those Muslims with the gospel. At the moment, I basically haven't had time to think about it. A guy called Barry, he's going to help me there, and that'll be good. We'd love to do more of the hub. There's a care home just around the corner from where we meet. We get 3 of them coming most Sundays. So we're praying that we'll get a fleet of wheelchairs, as one of the guys says, coming along at some point. We'd love to do services in there and help them out. What else is there? Oh, well, there's school works we'd love to do. We'd like to go out into the town more. We'd love to do more for the university. We get 3 students along at the moment, which, again, we're delighted by. So it's been really encouraging. We tend to get non-Christians nearly every week, and you will be amazed how many of them are invited by Betsy. So it was the lady from the Renal News. So how you can help? One of the things I say to the guys there is, as long as we have the Holy Spirit, we're all good, and He has been so helpful to us. And we'd love you to pray for us. Therefore, we need the Lord to work. Please do that. I feel like I've got a confession to make, which is we are dirt cheap at the moment. We're probably the cheapest church plant ever, because the hub is free. But we'd love you to help. I would love help. There's 2 things we'd love money for. One is, I don't know if it's because I'm lazy, but I'd love to have some help, basically. I feel like I'm absolutely sprinting flat out, as I'm sure all the planters are. We'd love to. Our long-term plan, as I said, like Lincoln's well served. Lincolnshire needs more Lincoln, but Lincolnshire is really not well served. We'd love to plant out, so we'd love to train up guys to come and help me, and then long-term go and plant. So if you wanted to help with that, we'd love that. We're also very aware that the hub, because we've got no contract, there's nothing formal written down. They could kick us out in an instant. We had one lady complain to the hub already. There's a story there as well if you want to hear it. But we're just aware that could go away very quickly, and then suddenly our costs will increase massively. And so we're sort of already thinking, can we start saving for when and if that happens? Longer term, we'd love to purchase a building. This is something you could pray for. There's a beautiful old Anglican church that's been turned into a gay theatre just down the road from us. I'm praying that gay theatre closes and we can buy it. So anyway. So you want to help us with that? You can pray for that. Anyway, I think that's everything. Thank you so much for listening.